In May of 1920, in Matawan, West Virginia, a coal miner walked past two Baldwin Felts detectives standing guard at the depot. In his dinner pail, under a folded biscuit and a tin of beans, sat a pistol broken down into 3 pieces. Sewn into the lining of his coat was a leather sap. He nodded politely. They let him pass. Here is the part nobody talks about. In a company town, you did not own your house, your store, or the road. The company owned all of it, and the company decided what a man was allowed to carry. So they hid it. They smuggled it. And number 3 on this list was so dangerous to the powerful that America made it illegal back in 1868, one of the first weapons this country ever outlawed. Number 2 is the one the company guards searched a man's lunch bucket for every single shift. And number 1 left no mark, no bruise, and no proof a man had ever used it. These tools were not forgotten because miners stopped needing them. They were taken because powerful men wanted working people defenseless. The same coal company that mounted machine guns on the tipples and sent an armored train, the Bull Moose Special, through a sleeping tent colony in 1913, did not want a miner carrying so much as a roll of pennies. The state later finished the job with the law. Before we start, subscribe, because this is the history they quietly stopped teaching, and we bring it back every week. Now let's count down the 10 forbidden defense tools every coal miner smuggled past the company guards. Number 10, brass knuckles. Picture a coal miner walking home alone down a dark dirt road, the lights of the camp fading behind him. Out there, a man settled his own trouble. When Abraham Lincoln traveled to Washington in 1861, fearing for his life, his bodyguard and law partner Ward Hill Layman carried a Bowie knife, 2 pistols, and a pair of brass knuckles. If they were good enough to guard a president, they were good enough for a working man. A set cost almost nothing, cast from brass or poured from melted scrap in a backyard mold. They slipped over 4 fingers and turned a tired fist into a hammer that ended a fight in one swing. They folded flat into a vest pocket, invisible to a guard's quick pat-down. Today, brass knuckles are banned outright in many states, illegal to even own. Your great-grandfather bought them at the hardware counter. Number 9, the miner's dinner pail. Picture the line of men filing through the mine gate at dawn, each one with a battered steel pail swinging in his hand. The double-decker lunch bucket was patented in the 1870s, one patent in 1871 and another in 1877. It had a lower chamber for water or cold tea, a middle for the meal, and a tray on top for pie. To a company guard, it was just a man's lunch. To the miner, it was the best smuggling box ever made. Break a small pistol into its parts, wrap them in a rag, and lay them in the water chamber under a false tin bottom. Slide a sap along the side. Tuck cartridges into a folded biscuit. Thousands of men carried contraband past the gate this way, hidden behind a cornbread crust. The guards knew it too, which is why, by the mine wars, they started dumping a man's dinner in the dirt at the gate. Number 8, the Barlow pocket knife. Watch a miner's hands at work and you will see it. Opening at the supper table, whittling on the porch, cutting a length of fuse underground. The Barlow pattern goes back to the Barlow family of Sheffield, England, in the late 1600s, and it crossed the ocean to become the honest American working man's knife. Cheap and simple, with a long bolster and a clip blade that could take a beating. A miner bought one for pocket change, often right at the company store on company scrip. And here is the beauty of it. No guard could take it from you because it was a tool, not a weapon. You used it to strip wire, trim a sandwich, and pry a stone. But a Barlow opened in a tight spot was a blade, and every man knew it. Today, many states cap blade length and ban locking blades in your pocket, treating the same honest tool your grandfather carried as a criminal weapon. Number 7. The straight razor. Picture a man at a cracked mirror before the morning shift, scraping the night's stubble off his jaw with a folding blade. Before Gillette sold the first safety razor blades in the early 1900s, every grown man in America shaved with a straight razor, a strip of hollow ground steel honed sharp enough to split a hair. It sat in a coat pocket or a shaving kit and raised no eyebrows at all, because every male over 15 owned one. But snapped open in an alley, that same 3 inches of steel was one of the most feared close-quarters weapons a man could hold. No permit, no gun, no explanation. It was just shaving gear. Coal miners, gamblers, and railroad men all understood the quiet second life of the straight razor. Today, carry that same grooming tool clipped in your pocket on a city street, and an officer can charge you with a concealed weapon. Number 6. The carbide lamp. Picture a row of tiny flames bobbing in the black of the tunnel, each one clipped to a miner's cap. After Thomas Wilson found a cheap way to make calcium carbide in 1892, that little brass lamp became the eye of every coal miner, burning a hot white acetylene flame. Drip water onto the carbide, and it makes its own fire. Most folks never thought of it as a weapon, but a miner did. That flame, aimed into a face at arm's length, ended an argument fast, and a handful of carbide, sealed in a tin can with a splash of water, built pressure into a crude charge from materials the company handed him every shift. He did not have to smuggle the makings in. They were already on his head. After open flame disasters like Moweaqua, Illinois, in 1932, where 54 men died, the carbide flame was driven out of the mines and replaced by sealed electric lamps. Number 5. Blasting powder and caps. Picture a man drilling the black face of the coal by hand, deep in the tunnel, packing a charge into the hole. Before machines tore the coal loose, the miner shot it down himself with black powder and later dynamite. Boys called powder monkeys ran the explosives through the tunnels, and a man often bought his own powder, fuse, and caps, sometimes right off the company store shelf on credit. Think about that. The company could take your gun, your knife, and your sap at the gate, but it could not take the dynamite, because the whole operation ran on it. One stick held more raw power in a man's hand than every Baldwin Felts rifle in the county. They feared it, and they were right to. Today, you cannot buy a stick of dynamite or a single blasting cap without a federal license and ATF paperwork. The one tool the company could never confiscate, the government finally did. Number 4. The roll of pennies. Picture a handful of copper coins spilled across a plank table, then rolled tight in a strip of paper. This is the cheapest defense tool in American history and the most invisible. 50 pennies rolled tight cost a man exactly 50 cents and weighed about half a pound of solid metal in his palm. Gripped in the fist, it braced the bones of the hand and turned a bare-knuckle punch into a blow with the weight of a small hammer. And here is the genius of it. When a guard patted you down at the gate, he found nothing but a working man's pocket change. There was no law against carrying your own money. Coal miners, dock workers, and soldiers all knew this trick. Today, a prosecutor can argue that a roll of coins carried with intent counts as a deadly weapon. The same 50 cents your grandfather kept in his fist can now be held against you in court. Number 3. The slungshot. And this is the one I promised you. Not a slingshot, a slungshot. Picture a sailor coming off a ship at a busy harbor, a heavy weight on a leather cord swinging from his hand. It was a lead ball, or a knot of rope called a monkey's fist tied to a thong. Sailors invented it to heave a line, then carried it ashore to guard their wages from thieves in port cities like New York and San Francisco. A coal miner could make one in 5 minutes from a bolt and a bootlace. Swung from the wrist, it moved through a long arc and hit with stunning force, yet it coiled up small enough to vanish in a pocket. It was so feared that Florida outlawed it back in 1868, making it one of the very first weapons this country ever made a crime to carry. Many states still ban it by name today. Number 2, the hideout pocket revolver. This is the one the guards searched a man's lunch bucket for every single shift. Picture the main street of a coal town, miners watching from the windows above. On May 19, 1920, in Matawan, West Virginia, the men had quietly armed themselves, and when the Baldwin Felts detectives came to evict families from company houses, the shooting left 7 agents, 2 miners, and the mayor dead in the street. A man could not walk through the gate openly armed, so he hid a small 5-shot revolver or a single-shot Derringer in the water chamber of his dinner pail, in a hollowed boot heel or taped flat against his back. It was the great equalizer against a guard with a .30-30 Winchester. The company hated it most of all. Today, that same pocket pistol means permits, background checks, registration in some states, and the ATF over all of it. Your great-grandfather just dropped it in his lunch. Number 1, the leather sappy, also called a blackjack. Picture a flat black club tucked into a coat pocket or hanging from a policeman's belt. 8 to 12 inches long, with a lead weight sewn into a head of leather and a spring in the handle so it whipped on the swing. American police carried saps from the mid-1800s, and their use peaked in the 1960s before departments quietly retired them. For a coal miner, nothing was better. It lay flat in a coat pocket or down a boot, soft and silent, drawing no attention from a guard's hands. And this is why it tops the list. A sap made no sound, and one tap behind the ear dropped a grown man while leaving almost no mark. No bruise, no cut, no proof you had ever swung it. The company could not charge what it could not see. Today, the sap is banned in many states, though recently a federal judge struck down California's old ban. The single most practical weapon a working man ever carried made a crime. Before you go, tell me in the comments which one of these 10 surprised you most, and whether anyone in your family carried it. Drop their story below, because that is how this knowledge stays alive. They did not forget these tools because they stopped working. They forgot them because somebody wanted you to. That knowledge did not die. It just went quiet. It is time to start listening again.